5 players you need to let your idiot league mates draft in your rookie draft, okay? It's the NFL draft week. This video is coming out on Monday, I think, so we are 3 days away, which means 2 things. 1, your rookie drafts usually follow the NFL draft immediately, so you need the list. And we'll probably make an updated one after the NFL draft, but these players I feel strongly about in terms of my player evaluation. There really ain't no landing spot. There really ain't no draft capital that's going to make me feel some other type of way about them, okay? So these are 5 players in your rookie drafts you got to let your idiot league mates take, all right? Do not hit the draft button on these men, okay? And speaking about some good men, I'm speaking about the opposite. That didn't make sense. Number 2, we will be live streaming from the studio. Myself, Adam, Andrew, and a mix of all the dudes in the office, Tony and Gut and J-Mo and whatever, will be probably hopping on camera at one point or another. We'll be live streaming the entire first round of the NFL draft. We got a wheel that we created. We'll put some of the options up on the screen, so it's just going to get a little weird. We're going to have a lot of giveaways, some merch, some signed memorabilia. We're going to break down every single player that's drafted, but more importantly, every single rookie that goes in the first round. So come hang out with us on Thursday night. The stream is already active right now, so I will link that down below. If you go over to that page and just hit the notification button, the bell will pop up, and we're doing a little pre-show, so I think we're going to start at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to go through our first round mock drafts, so we're all going to take a little stabby stab at this. That'll be, the hour leading up to it, and then the fun will begin 7 p.m. Eastern time. NFL draft, fantasy analysis, dynasty analysis, just life analysis, all right? You will be a changed man or woman by the time you leave that draft stream. Enough yapping from me in the introduction. Y'all know what we got to do. You know what we got to do? Yeah. Let's tuck it. Ow. I don't know why I did that. The number 1 player on this list for me is Rome Wilson. And he has a great name. He's got a great name. That's about as far as the list goes for me in terms of things that make me want to draft him and have him on my fantasy team, all right? The wide receiver out of Michigan. In 1 quarterback leagues, I have him ranked 14 spots below expert consensus rankings. I don't really give a fuck how the industry looks at players, especially during rookie time. There is just so much bad info. Y'all will gas literally anybody up. You got to see Roman Wilson play like 1 good game against Alabama. The problem with a lot of players, especially in the dynasty space, if a guy has like a decent Senior Bowl, it's over. It's over because we got people that just go and then they're like, I saw this guy run a good route in shorts. Like he's him. He's fucking him. And that's what happened with Roman Wilson. One of his last games of the season, played really well. And then the Senior Bowl, he performed well. And it was just all she wrote. Nothing that happened prior to that in the fucking 4 years he was at school doing a whole lot of nothing counted for anything. Roman Wilson's about to be 23 years old, so he's a little bit older as a prospect. Now, a lot of y'all use breakout age as like an indicator way more heavily than I do. But if you do, he broke out after 22 years old, which is in like the 13th percentile. He's got a slight frame, but no real problems. 5'11", 185. He's fast as fuck, boy, all right? He can fly. There ain't no doubt about it. When I'm trying to give you my take on a player, I'm not only trying to give you the bad parts, especially in a video like this. I want to make sure that I kind of lay the groundwork for the entire profile of the prospect. And for Roman Wilson, again, he can fly, all right? They use him in motion a ton. He is tough. He is physical. It feels like he's getting in a fight on like every fucking play that Michigan plays. When I'm watching him play, I see like very little nuance to his routes. I see his feet getting flustered all the time when he runs into any sort of physicality, especially over the middle of the field. The dude gets thrown off track. He's like, you want to think of him as like a train on the train tracks where nothing disrupts him, but he's more like using a little mini go-kart and a pebble gets in his way and he flips over. Roman Wilson can separate in the same way that like Marvin Mims. Everybody loved Marvin Mims coming out last year, but Marvin Mims ran about 3 routes at Oklahoma. It was, let me step back 2 steps from the line of scrimmage to catch a screen pass. Let me run really fast right over the middle of the field, or let me run right down straight fly route. That's what I'm seeing with Roman Wilson. He was very rarely asked to create separation outside of running at full speed. He is meh with the ball in his hands and even deeper than meh. We'll get into the numbers in a second with that. He's fine. He's not great at contested catches, like super underwhelming with that. The nail in the coffin, I watched Rome's tape probably like a month ago, so these were my conclusions with that. And then Matt Harmon, whom y'all know, comes out with like one of the best products in the dynasty space, reception perception. His RP profile on Roman Wilson was abysmal, okay? Man, 19th percentile success rate. Zone, 11th percentile success rate. Press coverage, 15th percentile success rate. This man stinks against pretty much every coverage that he sees, okay? So y'all can watch your highlight tape of him making 3 good plays. Y'all can watch him at the Senior Bowl playing cool in shorts. But I'm going to let these numbers kind of speak for themselves. Matt's product, reception perception, it's not free, but it is 1,000% worth it. So receptionperception.com, he watches and grades every wide receiver, not every wide receiver, but a lot of the more popular wide receivers that will come into your Dynasty rookie drafts with this type of chart, as well as a long write-up on each of them. And again, the Roman Wilson one was less than shining. It was middle of the night, blackout shades in your room type of shit. There was an insane amount of Tyler Lockett's being thrown around in terms of comps on Twitter. It's just downright sickening. Almost, it makes me want to call out of work tomorrow. But tomorrow's Sunday, and I don't not work on Sundays, all right? We're working every fucking day out here, which is why I could tell you that Roman Wilson ain't shit. His separation numbers and his separation on film are quite literally the direct opposite of Tyler Lockett. So as a 22-year-old senior, he went 48 for 789, 12 touchdowns. Now, it's easy to look at Michigan and just say they don't really pass the ball a lot. That was in 15 games. They went far into the playoffs, so they played a lot of games there. So those stats are 789 yards in 15 games. It's not a great college number, and damn near 20% of his receptions and yards came in one game against Purdue. And like I said, he is not great with the ball in his hands. And when I say not great, he was single-handedly the worst in this class in terms of missed tackles forced per reception and broken tackles, missed tackles per attempt. Those are hard stats. He is the definition of a cone with the ball in his hands. So again, the way I look at Roman Wilson is he's going to be a guy that teams saw him play against Alabama, see him at the Senior Bowl, and you're going to have some old guy he's tough. He plays football. Yeah, this kid, he's special, man. And then he's going to get drafted in round 2, and he's not going to have 1 ounce of separation during his entire rookie contract. So when I was comping him, my high comp for him was Darius Slayton or Kenny Stills, who've had good years. They've had good years, but you're not trying to really use high rookie picks on dudes like that, all right? So I had other comps, the flop comps I had for him were Dante Pettis, Ricardo Lockett, for y'all that remember him, bike in the day. So you want to say Tyler Lockett? I say no. Let me raise you one. Let me put my chips in and hit you with that Ricardo Lockett comp, all right? So we're off Roman Wilson. We're also off Tez Walker out of UNC, okay? He's another dude, no doubt about it. He can separate with pure speed. He's got them strides that chew up 6 yards per step. But my God, sometimes when I'm watching him, he feels like Brian Thomas without tendons. I don't know what makes you flexible. What makes you flexible and makes you able to be makes you able to wiggle? What makes you wiggly? Whatever makes you wiggly, Tez Walker don't have it. Is it tendons? It's got to be tendons, right? It definitely ain't bones. Maybe it's muscle. I don't know. Whatever it is, he's Brian Thomas without the wiggly shit, all right? No fluidity, just pure fucking speed. It kind of felt like he was incapable of separating versus man coverage. I found him stiff, and that's why I saw him film, so I wanted to check out the numbers, and my goodness. If you look at his yards per route run versus man compared to his yards per route run versus zone, it's like 2 separate players. The problem with the man versus zone thing, right? When a guy is really good against zone, basically what we're saying is we now need to depend on somebody else to go get it for him, right? We need the coach to set him up for success. We need to make sure that guy is running routes that land in the middle of the field. We need to make sure that he is in the slot running routes. If you're good versus man coverage, if you're successful versus man coverage, you can go and get it on your own, no matter who's covering you, no matter what system you're in, no matter what route you are running. That is the difference. When someone's really good at zone but not good at man, they need to depend on all the external factors. And we do not want to be drafting rookies or players that depend on external factors. And that's the vibe I get from Tez Walker. Again, not to mention that he is almost on Roman Wilson type cone levels, broken tackles plus missed tackles per reception, missed tackles forced per reception from both PFF and Sports Info Solution. Not great. Let's just quickly jump into a little filmy film. Let's make a movie. I know you guys like this. So this is a game versus Duke. And I'm going to point out quickly just 5 plays that I didn't love, that didn't really get me going, that wouldn't start a sensual night for me, all right? So he's up top here. They are within the 10-yard line. He's kind of just one-on-one coverage up there. You see the guys up at the line of scrimmage, much smaller than he is, and it's just time to body this man's. Watch the full play. So he's like breaking in, and then he's going to try to cut out. The cornerback, as you can see here, is playing him inside, and he's going to give him no room to cut back outside. He really got no separation here, and I get why the cornerback's playing that way because he's got the safety on the inside. Now Tez Walker has to cut back outside and has absolutely no room. Like, the stopping speed there was, like, I'm not really sure what we're doing here. It just wasn't great. The very next play, we're kind of lined up extremely similarly, still on the 9-8 yard line. He's up there. We'll watch the play through. You're a big boy. Like, you've got to get something there. I know Drake May's not looking at you yet, but even if he did look at you, there's nothing to see. You're getting bullied out of bounds. Like, we're not throwing you that ball. Nope. Then you're going to fight about it because he locked you up. That's fine. Whatever. Not a big deal. Running routes on the goal line is tough. Like, you have to be a really good route runner to be able to separate with that little amount of space. And I've got empathy for those players, but that don't mean I want to draft them. Here is another play. They're inside the 15. Tez Walker's up there. Let's run it through. Like, nope. You literally are, he's stuck to him. He's still, like, he's supposed to be cutting inside, but he is still facing upwards. Like, his body is still moving towards the goal line. He's just being driven completely off his route there. Let's watch that one more time at full speed. Just no break. What are we doing? Here's a play a couple plays later. All right, here's Tez up top there. I actually don't even know what this play is, but I marked it down. Yeah. Okay, that's a comeback route. It takes him about 17 steps to stop. And Drake May's running over there. Like, those are the kind of routes that would get that target with Drake May bouncing outside of the pocket. Okay, so we're looking at, watch him at the top of the screen. Just watch how many, like, steps and watch how long it takes him to actually turn around. It's not great. And he's not even looking at the quarterback to catch the ball. He's looking at the defensive player. Like, watch when he turns around. He doesn't even look towards the quarterback. He's just looking at the cornerback. Not great. Let's look at the very next play. He's up top. Another one just sloppy. Drops the ball. His, like, turnaround, I don't know. It's just awkward to me. He's turning inside. It looks like he should just break outside, like turn outside. That's where Drake May's throwing him the ball anyways. But he turns inside. And just takes a long time, and it gets sloppy. I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of this dude's route running. So the next dude up on this list is another wide receiver, Malik Washington out of Virginia. So Malik Washington, kind of an old man, 23 years old. Played 4 years at Northwestern without really breaking out. Transfers to Virginia and then breaks out as a second-year senior. He's like 5'9", 190, so he's got a little bit of that like running back build. He is purely a slot guy. Like, he ran damn near 90% of his routes within the slot. So he is a dude that really was just so highly targeted, really close to the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, catching screens and stuff like that. And I'm just not a fan of those players, ones that can't really separate outside of that. He gets a ton of comps to like Zay Flowers, which I thought are terrible, in the same way that I felt like if you took Brian Thomas and took his tendons out, you get Tez Walker. Is if you take the explosion, if you take the electricity out of Zay Flowers, that's how I feel Malik Washington is. That's what I see on the film. Like, when he's getting pushed physically at the line of scrimmage, which doesn't happen often because he's playing only strictly out of the slot, but when he does get asked to go outside, or when he does have someone in press coverage against him, he's not great at using his hands to like wipe them away. He's not great at getting off the line of scrimmage when he needs to run a physical route, and he does not get a lot of separation downfield. He ran a 4.47, which is like good, above average for sure, but at 5'9", 190, that's not really that fast. He's got a high burst score, obviously, because he is someone that is a screen guy around the line of scrimmage. He's making guys miss on those types of things, but like, Zay Flowers showed a ton of explosion downfield. Zay Flowers showed a ton of prowess to actually be able to separate and beat guys in man coverage, where I don't see that at all for Malik Washington. It feels like we were watching Zay Flowers in slow-mo on Malik Washington's film. So let's jump in a little bit. Here's a quick example of what I'm talking about, like line of scrimmage, physicality, dealing with it. You'll see him lining up in the slot, and he's got coverage right at the line of scrimmage. So he's going to have to just gain separation or deal with this dude to get past him. And we'll just watch it in real time. Just not great. Just not great. Yeah, you could argue that maybe the guy had his hands on him 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, but this is for sure within 2 to 3 yards. That's when you're taught to chop down. That's when you're taught to hit him with the elbow. You know what I mean? And it's just not great. So I think he struggles dealing with that type of adversity when he's running the route. Here's another play where this feels like a play where people would be like, yeah, this is kind of where I see the Zay Flowers, like the quick twitch kind of thing. And to me, this looks slow. Like, I know that play's not running through him, but he's in here in the slot, and he's just going to run a quick out route. He hits 3-4 yards or whatever, and then breaks to his right outside. But like, it takes him a long time to like swivel his hips and turn around to see the quarterback. And obviously the play's not going to him, but that doesn't really matter when you're running your route. I don't know why. We'll just watch this like 2 or 3 times. To me, this feels like the opposite of Zay Flowers. Like, he turned his body. It feels like he needed to turn his body twice to make that move. In the slot, he's kind of asked to run downfield. Guy's all over him. No separation there. There you go. He's running in the middle. This is another Zay Flowers type route here. But if this QB throws it, this cornerback's taking that to the cribbo. Skirt. Just not really enough sell on the routes. Like, by the time he turns direction, it feels like it takes him a little bit too long. And yeah, maybe I'm being a little picky with them, but in my eyes, like, those types of split-second quickness, instances are like the difference between being Zay Flowers, who's one of the elite athletes on fucking planet Earth, and just not being that. I think at the end of the day, Lance Zierlein, who does a write-up for all these prospects on NFL.com, his draft write-up was kind of fucking spot on. Performed as a heavily targeted slot receiver in a single season at Virginia and after transferring from Northwestern. Washington's catch total is filled with a high number of quick game throws and short out routes that allowed him to use his contact balance to stack plenty of tough yards after the catch. Washington possesses premium catch focus, buttery smooth hands, and mature ball skills, but he needs to prove he can elude press and run an NFL route tree with better attention to detail. Washington maximizes his skill set to make up for his average size, and he should garner attention as a gadget guy with the potential to develop into a wide receiver 4 or eventually starter in the slot. That's kind of exactly how I feel like he does some things well. Like, if you're going to use him that way, cool. He'll be able to, make some cool things happen for your offense, but there are so few players that really like break out in fantasy and do well in fantasy that are used in this light, and their metrics and their analytics are like 1,000 times better than what we're getting from him. I mean, like, his average depth of target 7.7 is a problem for me. That's like when you have a really low ADOT but a really high number of targets, number of receptions, you start to get into that, like Wan'Dale Robinson, Rondell Moore, Lynn Bowden, like, oh, these guys are so good in college, we just love them. And then we try to project that into their fantasy ceiling. We try to project that into like who they're going to become at the next level. And offenses just don't run through those types of players. So he does good things. Like, he's a player I think you'll like more on your NFL team. Catch and traffic rating, really tough dude, really strong hands, makes plays after the catch. Like, if you give him a screen, he'll probably make 1 or 2 guys miss, but like, you're never running your offense through him. And I feel like his fantasy upside is just so capped because of that, which leads us into the next one of him. Like, the real true version of this same dude is Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. He is like the one that's getting way more hype, but the same type of build. He's like 5'11", 200. So you're talking about a little bit closer to like the Debo build. This dude's screen usage rate was fucking enormous. 44.3% of his targets came on screens. By far and away the highest of anyone in this class, and I think number 1 in the entire country. Yeah, that is true. Among wide receivers with 15 or more screen targets, he led the NCAA in percentage of targets that were among screens. He had an average depth of target 5.5 yards down the field, and for as much as he's like the yak king, His missed tackles forced per reception, like those broken tackle numbers, are actually like super mid amongst this class. His catch and traffic rating for like a tough dude, 23.5%, really, really low. I thought he showed like really sloppy route running in his film. Again, this type of player goes back to the Rondell Moores, the Laviska Chenaults, the Lynn Bowden, the David Bells, the Wan'Dale Robinson, where we're like, oh my God, he broke out at age 18, therefore he is literally perfect and checks every box and trash. All right, so first play here, we're about a minute into the film. This is Malachi Corley in the slot here. And again, this is versus Ohio State coverage, so this ain't no fucking walk in the back. Yep, physicality is just overwhelming to him. Just watch the entirety of the play. Bumps him off course, and then because the momentum kind of took him out there, he lost any sort of like coverage separation that he could have had. It just slowed him down. Bump, slow down. Can't really get up to max speed again. And there's just a lot of physicality going on there, but that was part of the play. There was no flags on that play. All right, here's him coming out of the backfield in motion. They use him in motion a lot, and to be honest with you, I think it kind of like made him a worse route runner. Like on him like white on rice. Here's him in motion again. It's just a clunky route. It's just so much clunk. Hated everything about it. Here's another one, him running in motion right here. Just trouble getting through traffic in the middle of the field. Should have been picked off probably. He's like trying to read the linebacker here. Like he's going inside and then he tries to go over the top, then he goes back inside, then he tries to go back over the top, and just has a lot of trouble within that type of zone coverage. Watch that one more time. Like watch how many moves he makes, both like to the top of the field and back to the bottom of the field within like a split second of trying to get past that linebacker. It's just, yeah. Here's another example of him kind of like trying to figure out where to sit in zone coverage. I think this is a bit of man, a bit of zone, and it just confuses him. He thinks he's going to be able to just stop right by the linebacker, but nope. He kind of gets hit by the guy in man coverage, and it throws him off his route. I think this is the last play of the game, maybe. It's just another, like, where am I running to? But, yeah, his box score. So he had one broken coverage big play that got him, like, 90% of his yardage. I'm not sure when the play fucking happened, to be honest. Let me see. All right, so here's the play, the big play that kind of breaks off. So he's in the middle of the slot and the outside wide receiver. Now he sets up as if he's going to block for this guy's screening. You could see the guy on the hash marks with his hands up, like pretending it's going to be a screen. So the cornerback comes charging in, thinking that Malachi's about to block him. He goes past him, and then Malachi runs past him. And obviously he's just fucking wide open now. I don't think that had anything to do with his route running or his ability or anything like that. So that was literally like 40 yards, which was about half of his yardage. And now you're looking at the box score being 7 for 40. Okay? And that's not impressive at all. And his touchdown was, like most of his catches in this game, they were just like mini screens here. So you got 4 fucking blockers ahead of him, just walk into the end zone kind of thing. Cool. That was all just to say, don't come at me being like, he did this against Ohio State. He didn't really do anything. He caught 7 screen passes and 1 broken play. Hank. So, again, just another dude that I feel like is going to need manufactured touches in order to, like, really be a big playmaker. And I just don't fuck with drafting manufactured touch players when it comes to my rookie draft. And here is one last little piece of statistics that I think kind of drives the point home. Football Insights tweeted out, round 1 and 2 wide receivers since the 2019 draft that recorded above 50% of college yak on screens. This is exactly the type of players I was referring to, and I saw this shit at the end of my research for him. Paris Campbell, Jalen Reagor, Laviska Shenault, Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson, all dudes with just extremely high manufactured type touches. That shit didn't transfer over into the NFL. So you're talking about the 2024 class with guys that hit that criteria. Xavier Worthy. Wasn't even going to put Xavier into this video, but if we want to, hit him with a couple ricochet shots, here we go. Love to see it. Ladd McConkey, who I'm a fan of, but this makes sense that he falls into this little cocktail of players, and then Malachi Corley there. So we will quickly move on to the last player, and this is a running back. Now, if you've enjoyed the video up to this point, please make sure you hit the button that looks like this. It lets me know that you like these types of videos, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Will help you with everything Dynasty related from now for the rest of your lives. All right. And make sure, again, that you go turn on notifications for the live stream that we're doing for round 1 of the NFL draft. Starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we'll go through the very last pick, 32 of them hoes. That's going to be all night. So you can hang out with us all night. And on that night, you will not hear Ray Davis, the Kentucky running back's name, called. Ray Davis, I like him as a player. He's got a lot of like Mike Davis vibes to me, where he's going to be like a little bit above average everywhere. The problem with that is like there's so little margin for error when you are over 24 years old. All right, he went from Temple to Vanderbilt to Kentucky. His efficiency numbers have never really been good. He's fine. He does everything fine. I think his best comp, again, is like his high comp, if everything breaks right, is Mike Davis. And being 24, you have very, very little room for error, because that's when we're like, we're already looking to ship like 25-year-old running backs off of our dynasty team. So if he doesn't perform immediately, you're talking about a guy that's going to be going into like his 26-year-old season. And I'm like, Mike Davis, a mid-level comp would be Josh Kelly. A flop comp would be a guy like Brian Hill. If you were a Falcons fan, you remember Brian Hill, a guy that can kind of do it all, a little bit bigger, has some explosion, can catch passes, but overall the profile is just one I'm not looking to spend rookie picks on, okay? So those are 5 players that y'all should let your idiot league mates draft if they're just simply going too high in rookie drafts, and that is Roman Wilson. That is Tez, or Devontae Walker, out of UNC. That is Malik Washington out of Virginia. That is the Walmart version of Malachi Corley, who's out of Western Kentucky. And then you've got Ray Davis out of Kentucky, all right? So a couple Kentucky boys out here. I'm sorry, I got nothing against y'all if you live in Kentucky. I'm sure it's a great state. I don't know if I'll ever step foot there, but it is what it is, all right? So that's the video for today. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to be breaking down tiers in terms of running back landing spots for rookies, all right? So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure turn notifications on, hit the button that look like this. I'll see you when I see you.